So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Brandon Lewis claiming the EU must agree to renegotiate the protocol or cause indefinite chaos. I mean, if you're another country, right, and you're seeing the UK just continuously turn back on an agreement is signed very recently, how trustworthy does the UK look at this point, or should I say, how untrustworthy do we look? Because essentially, we're saying we're threatening the an institution we have an agreement with, and blaming them for all the problems when it was us that caused this. It's now been 10 months since Johnson first published proposals to rewrite sections of the protocol, the command paper he's referencing, in order to resolve the problems ministers believe are harming businesses and threatening the Good Friday Agreement. Now, the Good Friday Agreement point they make is new, fairly new. Harming businesses, the majority of businesses I think are doing okay. They're dealing with the protocol or are benefiting from the protocol. Now, amid a stalemate prompted by last month's Stormont elections, I mean, just because the DUP aren't the biggest party anymore, why should anyone else care? Brandon Lewis believed that the EU will be responsible for indefinite chaos in Northern Ireland unless it agreed to renegotiate the protocol. I mean, again, it goes back to direct rule, which Sinn Féin won't be happy about, but it's not going to cause absolute chaos in Northern Ireland. Or the government pushes ahead with a plan to override the document, and then what though? How does Northern Ireland benefit from a trade war with the EU? How? It doesn't make sense. Asked in an interview with The Telegraph whether he was concerned that the absence of an executive in Northern Ireland could be indefinite if Brussels fails to give ground, Brandon Lewis said yes. And what do you expect at this point? Like, what? But by getting rid of the protocol, how does that help anyone? I genuinely don't get it. It helps the DUP how? Because at the end of the day, Northern Ireland's economy does rely on Ireland. So what, you put a hard border up and what, you decimate Northern Ireland's economy with a trade war? I don't get it. The end game I don't understand, because they're gambling really hard that there won't be a hard border going up in Ireland because of Brexit. That's what they're gambling on, that Ireland or the EU won't put up a hard border, and I don't know what happens. If these guys scrap the protocol, I don't know what happens. If they push through that legislation and then use that legislation to get rid of Northern Ireland Protocol, the main purpose of it, what happens at that point is very scary. Lewis adds, I made this point to the EU myself before the elections. My view was it was much easier to get a deal before the elections than afterwards. Why would that be the case? It'd be the same. In fairness, actually, it might be more difficult because Sinn Féin are going to undermine the arguments the British government make with regards to the protocol. The idea that it was going to be easier after the election was a crazy one from the EU, when surely if the will of the people in Northern Ireland were to get rid of the protocol, they would have voted for the unionist parties, but they didn't. When Stormont wasn't there for 3 years, the government had to spend 3 years trying to negotiate with the parties, with each other, to agree a programme of government and also agree with both the Irish and the UK government. So it took a lot of work to get Stormont reopened. I think a key problem with Stormont closing the last time was because Sinn Féin were promised certain things regarding the Irish Language Act, and in the end, the DUP didn't allow it to happen, and therefore I think Sinn Féin actually just left the executive. Now, though, the key to restoring the executive is out of the government's hands after the DUP insisted it would refuse to re-enter the power-sharing arrangement until the protocol issues are resolved. And why would the EU cave to a small party in a third country? Again, that's another thing I don't understand. The DUP are refusing to nominate because they've got a mandate through the election. Again, they don't have a mandate because they lost, son. They lost. How did the DUP have a mandate? They lost. That's like saying the Labour Party have a mandate. They lost. The DUP aren't the biggest party in Stormont. The vast majority of MLAs support or are tolerant of the protocol. So who has a mandate? It's not the DUP. It's not the Unionists. It's the rest of the gang. It's everyone else. It's the Alliance Party. It's Sinn Féin. They're the ones that have a mandate. Not the DUP. Not to nominate until the protocol is resolved. So they won't nominate someone until the protocol issue's gone. At the moment, the protocol which the EU claims is about protecting the Good Friday Agreement is the document putting the Good Friday Agreement at risk. Again, that's not true because, again, I think the main aim of the Good Friday Agreement is to stop a hard border going up in the island of Ireland, which the Northern Ireland Protocol does. The EU insists it's put forward far-reaching and impactful arrangements to smooth the flow of goods between GB and NI, but Lewis and Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, are adamant that the protocol itself must be changed. Again, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. In order to lift the burdens of business that have stemmed from the agreement. What about the businesses that have actually benefited from the protocol? What about the ones who are like having access to the EU single market? Should they be ignored? If the EU fails to renegotiate the document, the UK's plans to unilaterally override the protocol will be the only way to restore power sharing in Stormont. And if Sinn Féin quit at that point, what will you do? Because you've risked a hard border going up in Ireland. What do you do at that point? Given that the DUP's objections are the only hurdle preventing the formation of a new executive, restoring power sharing is about all the parties in Northern Ireland being happy to nominate, and Sinn Féin are keen to do that and get on with that. So they're gambling that Sinn Féin won't do anything. And given the words Sinn Féin have said, it would be a bit hypocritical for them to do that if the UK took unilateral action, i.e. to quit from Stormont if the UK took unilateral action. However, they are risking a lot of internal problems in the island of Ireland if they get rid of the protocol. And that's some scary stuff there, because we've already seen it in the past. I wasn't alive to see it, but a lot of the people in the audience were. They saw what happened. It wasn't good. It took a lot of international effort to get the Good Friday Agreement, and it feels like this government are willing to throw it away. The only reason they haven't gone through with this, I think, is because the Americans have told them to shut up. The Americans have told them, like, look, you best be careful about what you're doing here. Do not screw this up for the rest of us. Power sharing is about all parties, when it's not really about all parties, though, is it? It's about the DUP and them not getting what they want. It's just embarrassing, to be honest with you, and shame on Brandon Lewis for, coming up with these nonsense arguments about the Good Friday Agreement being in jeopardy because of the Northern Ireland Protocol. We know that's not the case. It's frustrating. But, that's what the Tories are, the most frustrating people to deal with in England, because they're the biggest group of idiots in power. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.